part of what we're doing is trying to explore the question of, should there be consequences, right? So it's easy for people to promise to be a good corporation, and maybe it's hard to prove it at any given point in time.
And we see metrics as really important to all of these innovations, right? So all the legal tools that you can use to reveal preferences, to maintain commitments over time, all of them get sharper as measurement improves. And so there's a whole chapter in the book about metrics and about all the efforts of not only BLAT, but other folks in designing metrics.
And this isn't meters as opposed to yards. This is
right. It's measuring social performance.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than measuring your profits.
Well, and you mentioned all the accounting tools and other tools available to measure profit. And of course, the concern is that the old joke about the guy looking for his keys under the street lamp. Well, where did you lose them? Over there, but there's no street lamp over there. So if you want to have folks hunt for public benefit, the world we live in, you have to give them a way to measure it.
Yeah, or the other expression is what gets measured gets managed.
Right.
And just...
Oh, yeah, okay. We're lawyers. We don't know that one.
So,
do we? Okay, we know that one. I'm just kidding.
So, yeah, and it's a huge space, obviously, but it's a huge space where you have, the GRI-4, you have, UN promulgated metrics, you've got SASB, the Sustainability Accounting Standards Boards. Lots of people promoting lots of metrics, but there's yet to be real standardization, so it's a...
Yeah, and, we're a little impatient, right? So we wrote the book, we have all these innovations that we think can work at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if your state doesn't have a benefit corporation, even if
or your country,
right? Your country, even if you haven't gotten certification, you could do a fly paper deal. You could plan exit and use that to reveal preferences or other things that you can do. But it seems like we're going to be waiting a little while for the metrics to get consistent, right, across offerings. And so this is another place that folks are going to negotiate, right? So if you're doing an exit plan where you're going to have defaults based on failures to achieve social mission or to maintain, a particular kind of approach, well, the seller and the buyer are going to need to agree on how to measure whether you continue to do that. Yeah, and we think that the measurement tools, again, the fact that there's so much variety and that each individual social enterprise could come up with its own metrics makes that a scalable solution. Some of these contracting solutions are scalable because you can have everything from, a really technical set of standards like the IRIS standards that are being developed and are discussed in our book, and you can have something like the number of people that you employ at, your bakery that employs hard to employ workers or uses an open hiring model. So all of these are, again, solutions that are available now, but will only be more powerful, we think, as this metric effort continues. And that's not our effort, but it's one that we really want to piggyback off of.
Oh, absolutely. We're excited to see what happens.
I think it only helps our tools.
Get back to work, Rick. But I think, looking to the future, one thing that is certainly possible, we hope, it's hard to say what will happen, but we also talk about, and we've talked about in other work, a variety of public law. So we talk a lot about private law interventions and private deal making, but it's certainly possible that a state government could enact some of the other tools we talk about, a tax benefit, or at least sort of a way to talk about a tax mechanism that is both a carrot and a stick that allows you to prove that you're a good company. And you plan to remain a good company by accepting a carrot that'll turn into a stick if it turns out you were being so honest.
The tax regime that Steve's talking about is targeted in the book specifically to solve the problem that we mentioned earlier, that some of the financial creativity that we're trying to prompt is going to be pretty hard for retail investors to engage in on their own.
But the idea is that you would be able to know that if somebody's embraced the form, they're not stuck forever and always as they would be with a charity, but there are real consequences to changing your mind.